Volunteers with the Carl Junction Chamber help out a Joplin nonprofit after a break in the sprinkler system gushed thousands of gallons of water throughout the building in a matter of minutes. I'm Kate Kelly with the story just ahead.
McDonald County students are getting a much-needed gift from a nearby county. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how this act of kindness reaches across state lines.
As advertised, we had a much colder Saturday, but we're going to wrap up the weekend tomorrow with warmer temperatures despite a cold front working in from the west. We'll see how your Sunday is looking with first weather coming up.
The Missouri Southern women on a 10-game winning streak heading into tonight's matchup against Northwest. Those highlights coming up in sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
First at 9, an update to a story we first brought you last night regarding an officer-involved shooting in Ottawa County. The suspect has been released from the hospital after the Ottawa County Sheriff says a deputy shot the suspect during a chase. And that chase ended in Delaware County, where investigators say the man pulled out a gun before running off. Chin Doan from our affiliate KOTV in Tulsa has the latest.
30-year-old Trevor Schenkels is being treated at a Tulsa hospital. Once he's released from the hospital, he'll be booked into jail here. Now take a look. This is video showing Schenkels being loaded onto the helicopter after the deputy shot him into the thigh. Ottawa County Sheriff David Dean tells me around 4:30 this afternoon, another county asked his office to look for a stolen car. He says deputies found that car in Afton and tried to stop it, but Schenkels took off. Sheriff Dean says Schenkels led a female deputy into Delaware County near East 250 Road and Grandview Drive, then jumped out of the car and ran off. The sheriff says the deputy was by herself, told Schenkels to stop, but he turned around and pointed a gun at her, which forced her to fire multiple shots. He says Schenkels then took off running again, and search teams were able to find him an hour later north of where they stopped the chase. The sheriff says Schenkels did not fire any shots. Neighbors described the chaos.
It was a high-speed chase. The orange car went flying by, probably about 80 miles an hour. And the bad thing is some of the kids had just gotten off the school bus, and we were all pretty concerned and glad it ended.
Everything was handled great. And I want to thank all the agencies. I can't even tell you how many agencies was here to help set up a perimeter. We had a drone from the Miami Police Department up in the air, and luckily nobody else was hurt.
Now, the deputy who fired the shots is on paid leave while the OSBI investigates. That is standard practice. Her name has not been released. In Ottawa County.
Now, just before 9 this morning in Joplin, a Joplin police officer on patrol noticed smoke coming from an office building in the 1600 block of West 29th Street. And when the fire department arrived, they called in a second alarm. Crews closed West 29th Street while they fought the fire. Officials say the fire was under control a little after 9:30 and officially out just before 10 this morning. Officials with the fire department also say that the building was vacant and an investigation is now underway. Breaking overnight, a car crashes into the Carthage Police Department. Just after midnight this morning, an officer in Carthage saw a car on Garrison Avenue attempting to turn onto East 4th Street. The car went over some curbs and then hit the west side of the Carthage Police Department. Officers at the scene say this is a DWI investigation. There was only one person in the car who was transported by a police cruiser to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It was considerably colder today. Nick Kelly joins us.
On the other hand, though, Chris, we kept things quiet as we continue throughout this weekend. We're still looking quiet with mainly clear skies from 7th and Rangeline. 18, downright cold to start this morning out before we've topped out around 32 degrees. Quite a bit below where we should be for this time of the year and certainly colder than the 50s we saw the other day. We have quiet skies on top of the region, but this is a cold front that wants to quickly come on by as we go through tomorrow. How does that play out for your Sunday? Well, we'll have overnight lows around the midnight hour, mainly around 24 degrees. But before that front works in, we get the southwest wind to kick back into gear. So we'll start warming up a little bit before sunrise. And even with the front pushing through tomorrow morning, we'll still go to 39 by noon and highs near 41. So not looking bad for Sunday, Chris. We'll break down the rest of the week here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. On January 22nd, a Joplin nonprofit dedicated to serving children and families suffered a major blow to its building. KOAM's Kate Kelly tells us what happened at the Alliance of Southwest Missouri and how the community is stepping up to support the organization through this challenge.
When a pipe burst in the sprinkler system of the attic at the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, thousands of gallons of water gushed through the building. An employee happened to be there on that Saturday and remembers it well.
I heard an explosion upstairs. By the time I could run upstairs, I would say within 1 minute, the entire upstairs was flooded.
Within minutes, Box was able to shut off the system, but the damage was done. Nearly half a foot of water was pouring down from upstairs, soaking everything in its path. But Box wasn't alone for long.
I think we had 6 personnel from the fire department, along with our director. Jen Black had sent out a mass email to all the employees. Within an hour, we had at least 15 to 20 people here. The fire department stuck around until we got all standing water out of this building, which prevented just mass destruction.
Insurance is helping to lift the burden, but it's still a challenge for this nonprofit.
They are going to be able to cover most of our furnishings, the reconstruction of the building, and our offices, our temporary office space. What they're not going to cover are the fact that we have had dryers and dehumidifiers and air purifiers blowing nonstop for almost 3 weeks at this point.
Through it all, the kindness of the community is keeping the organization going. Within 24 hours of the deluge, an anonymous donor offered to pay a $2,500 deductible. CJ Chamber volunteers called in extra hands to help sort and move items that could be salvaged.
Knowing what the Alliance is and what it stands for, our family, definitely would come back and help again.
Despite this setback, Black says the Alliance is moving forward with its vision for this building with its capital campaign and assures the public that any donated funds will go precisely where they're meant to.
We are not going to pull money from a place where donors have designated money towards the capital campaign, even though it would be so much easier and would expedite things. But we want to make sure we honor our donors, and we always want to do that. And so that money is earmarked for the capital campaign, and it will stay going towards the capital campaign.
To all its supporters, the Alliance says thank you.
Every dime we get goes right back to the public, so thank you to everybody out there that has helped us.
In Joplin, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
Now, the Alliance has continued services throughout this ordeal and is now working out of a temporary office at the United Way in Joplin for at least the next 2 months. If you'd like to help the Alliance, you can find more information on how to donate or volunteer by checking out this article on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And full disclosure on our part, Kate Kelly is employed by the Alliance of Southwest Missouri. That wasn't the Chamber's only project today. More volunteers from the Carl Junction Chamber came out to the Ronald McDonald House in Joplin to help deep clean and sanitize the building. The house has been short on volunteers since the start of the pandemic, making it more difficult for them to keep up on everything that needs to be done. So as part of a number of projects the CJ Chamber is working on, they added the Ronald McDonald House to that list.
We really want to give back to the community. The community has given so much to us, and the businesses that are part of the chamber really enjoy being part of the community. So this is a day for us to be able to give back to the not-for-profit organizations in town.
It really is important for us to rely on the community to help keep our house open and running. We are one of 185 houses around the world. We are the only house that's completely staffed by volunteers.
Now, if you'd like to help out the Ronald McDonald House, you can log on to their website at rmhjoplin.org and learn about more opportunities at the house. After seeing a need for shoes in the McDonald County School District, an organization and church one state over stepped in to help. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky was in Bella Vista, Arkansas, and has more on the teamwork that allowed about 174 brand new pairs of shoes to students in McDonald County.
McDonald County School District families traveled across the Missouri-Arkansas border Saturday for some help from their next-state neighbors.
One of our teachers from one of our schools, I believe it was Knoll Elementary, had been in contact with some people from Samaritan's Feet, and they got to talking about some of the opportunities about giving shoes to the district.
Samaritan's Feet, an organization with the goal to ensure no child goes without shoes, teamed up with the Village Bible Church in Bella Vista, Arkansas to help out McDonald County students.
We've distributed over 8 million pairs of shoes across the world. In the United States, our core focus is to work with school systems just like McDonald County schools.
The distribution was held one state over, but it was only about 13 miles.
The need was found at McDonald County, and there are a lot of students there who are in need of shoes, and so we said, you know what, they are very close to us, just a few miles away. Sure, we'd love to serve there. And so even though we're not in McDonald County, we just saw the need there.
The church saw the need for shoes in the schools and got to work.
So we ordered 350 pairs of shoes. We're going to today serve about 175 students who need shoes. And then we're going to start a shoe locker in McDonald County for students and teachers and administrators. They see a need of a student needing shoes.
For McDonald County students, this act shows that kindness knows no bounds, even across state lines.
This is a community in Arkansas that's reaching across state lines to help a community in Missouri. And so when you look at this and when you look at caring and compassion, you can see that really there is no state line, we're all one community and we're all helping out each other. And so I think that this is just a fantastic example of that.
This was the first time Samaritan's Feet has reached out across state lines to help out. And they say it's a blessing. In Bella Vista, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Now, each student who registered not only got a new pair of shoes, they also received a bag filled with socks, a hygiene kit, and a hope note. Webb City High School hosted a competition for a program aimed at turning students into better citizens. The ROTC, a school-based officer training program, held a drill and rifle competition for high school students across Missouri. Students trained for this event for hours before school started, and it's all part of training them to be successful adults.
When we're trying to make them better citizens, this helps them be accountable and responsible, and they have to commit to the team and to themselves to be good and get competitive at it so they can win trophies at the end of the day.
The program helps teens become accountable and responsible and is for all students, even those who do not wish to join the military in the future. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Theodore Sheridan served in the Army during World War II, where he was shot down over Germany and taken prisoner. He earned a POW medal, among many others. His hometown, Sheldon. We're proud to recognize Theodore Sheridan, tonight's four-state hero. And of course, learn more about other heroes or nominate one of your own. Just go over to KOAMNewsNow.com. Still ahead, Disney is hoping the return of rides to 2 Disney locations is a grand slam.
As advertised, we kept things quiet throughout the course of the day, but the numbers don't lie. We were definitely quite a bit colder compared to the 50s that we saw yesterday. In fact, Joplin Regional topping out in general right around 53 degrees, at least based on observations alone. But we tanked into the upper teens to near 20 this morning, and we can only bounce back into the lower 30s this afternoon. Thankfully, we trend warmer as we go into early next week, but changes on the horizon as we stick with Doug's pattern and watch a pretty potent storm system wanting to come our way fairly soon, but no threatening weather whatsoever outside right now. 9:15 at 7th and Range Line showing mostly clear skies, 23 degrees already, but that south wind is starting to pick back up. So I really think this is in general where we're going to hang up until about the midnight hour. Then as that south wind continues to crank up, we might warm a little bit before we hit sunrise on your Sunday morning. For now, though, we've got lower to middle 20s. On the Missouri side, our corners to Kansas and Oklahoma and even northwest Arkansas generally in the mid-20s right now. But you factor in that south breeze, even though it's going to help us out tomorrow, or going into tomorrow at least, it is making it feel like anywhere from the mid-teens to about the mid-20s all across the board. But again, it's a good improvement compared to the northwest and westerly wind we saw to start this evening out. Now we got a wind coming out of the south. That's because if we break down the surface map for you, maybe a little cloud cover coming our way during the overnight hours, but that's about it. But we've got a developing area of high pressure right on top of the region. That's why we're getting that south wind back into play as we go through the overnight. However, this cold front wants to quickly make its approach as we go into tomorrow morning, but a dry front, so we'll keep things quiet for your Sunday. And in terms of the upper levels, we got this upper low across northern Wisconsin. That's what's going to bring the first cold front our way. Then, you see this low in the Gulf of Alaska? Doesn't look impressive right now, and obviously quite a distance away from our area, but that's the wave. That's going to really crank into gear through early next week and bring our next strong storm system our way by the middle of the week. But you can see how, as we go into the overnight, here's midnight on your Sunday, generally lower to middle 20s. We're going to hold steady with these numbers to start the overnight out, and I would not be surprised, even with some partly cloudy skies passing through, we might warm a little bit before we hit sunrise. But in general, overnight lows will be around 23 degrees, but even with the early morning cloud cover clearing out and a north breeze kicking in as that front passes through, we go to 39 by noon, highs around 41 in downtown Joplin. In general, right around 40 to about the lower 40s across much of the region. Still, that's warmer than how we fared today, so that's a step in the right direction. Monday, Tuesday, you can see how we get back on the milder side of the jet. This will push us into the 50s on Monday, 60s for Tuesday and even Wednesday. But that system coming in on Wednesday really cranks up our chances for rain and thunderstorms. I think any severe weather, believe it or not, the system will bring severe weather, but not for us. That's going to stay mainly south. And then as the colder air with the system works on in, we'll have to end things with maybe a rain-snow mix by the time we go into Thursday. So 41, quiet to wrap up the weekend tomorrow. 56, mostly sunny, not bad for Valentine's Day. 64 on Tuesday. Then the thunderstorm chances Wednesday, Chris, switching to a rain-snow mix as temperatures drop into the 20s on Thursday. But that's a short-lived cold snap. Mid-40s Friday and back in the 50s Saturday.
I kind of like that that's a short-lived cold snap. I can deal with that.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, if no one watched our 6, a little something for everybody for the coming week.
That is true, Nick. Thank you so much. Well, coming up, a new report suggests that marriage, just like real estate, is all about location, location, location. Disney is hoping the return of rides to 2 Disney locations is a grand slam. The trams, the Mickey and Friends and Pixar Pals tram shuttle rides from the garages to the main gate, will be back in service for Disneyland and Disney California Adventure Parks on February 23rd. Now, the trams ceased service over social distancing concerns when the COVID-19 pandemic closed the parks in March of 2020 and didn't return last April when the parks reopened. Guests who like to walk can still use the pedestrian bridge over Magic Way for parks entrance. A new report suggests that marriage, like real estate, it's all about location, location, location. It's Valentine's Day coming up. Love is in the air and in the rugged places to last the longest in West Virginia and Maine. Point Two Homes, a real estate company, says that marriages in the Mountain State and the Pine Tree State last about 22.3 years. New Jersey, North Dakota, and Utah have the lowest divorce rates in the nation. South Dakotans have the best marriage score, with half the state married. And Hawaii gets the best everlasting love rating based on 18 quality factors. The country's best-known high-end coffee chain is facing increasing numbers of stores wanting to unionize. About 11 more Starbucks local stores filed petitions this week with the National Labor Relations Board to hold a unionization vote in stores in New York, Michigan, Texas, and Georgia. And those are the ones that made their filings. And the Starbucks Workers United, the union seeking to organize, has been pushing workers in other states. Union tweeted Friday that employees in Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Hawaii may also join the effort. The union is also making a push this week in New York City for those stores to unionize. As Valentine's Day approaches, parents, be a Valentine to your kids with some key gestures. Experts say COVID-19 and social distancing has taken away much of what kids may need the most from parents, their hugs and touch. Lisa DeMoore, an Ohio-based clinical psychologist, says hugs provide kids reassurance in uncertainty. And much COVID behavior from adults has been correction and policing. Sherry Madigan, a clinical psychologist, says to watch for cues your kids want hugs, then ask, be okay with a no, and find creative ways to situationally give hugs. More Democrat-led states are rolling back mask mandates. Governors in Illinois, New York, and Rhode Island are just the latest to ease mask requirements, defying guidance from the Biden administration and the Centers for Disease Control. Alexandria Hoff has more from Washington.
This is a clear change in messaging, one that Democratic governors are saying has been dictated by science. But Republicans who efforted an end to mandates much earlier say this is pure politics. The wave started with easing of mask restrictions last week by Democratic governors in New Jersey, Delaware, Oregon, and Connecticut, followed by Rhode Island and Nevada.
Nevada will rescind our mask mandate, effective immediately. Masks will no longer be required in public places.
In California, New York, and Illinois, indoor mandates are set to be lifted, but not for kids in schools.
Schools need a little more time for community infection rates to drop, for our youngest learners to become vaccine eligible, and for more parents to get their kids vaccinated.
Virginia Governor Republican Glenn Youngkin has been pushing to give parents an opt-out of school mask requirements. There is not an indoor requirement in Virginia, but you'll remember just a week ago the governor was berated for not wearing one.
Freeze the room, buddy!
It remains to be seen if blue state governors will get the same treatment. And Republicans feel Democrats have now read the room, politically speaking, thinking of the mask-weary masses ahead of the midterms.
These Democrats saw what happened in Virginia. They saw what happened in New Jersey, where there was a wave of Republican voters because people were so fed up with the mandates.
The White House is not fed up with them, illustrating a clear party split. President Biden told NBC that the move is, quote, probably premature. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Up next on the KOAM News at 9, several dozen protesters gathered in central Kiev standing against a potential escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Several dozen protesters gathered in central Kiev standing against a potential escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Demonstrators waved banners as others set cars on fire, sending plumes of smoke into the skies above. Protesters are calling for a diplomatic solution to the conflict along the border. Russia has amassed over 100,000 troops near that border, but the Kremlin claims it has no plans to attack. Regardless, the U.S. has been shipping over military aid to help deter Russia from invading Ukraine. And Russia's Navy is conducting military drills as Western countries worry about possible aggression toward Ukraine. More than 30 ships from the Russian Black Sea Fleet began training exercises near the Crimea Peninsula as part of a wider Russian Navy drill. Western powers are watching the drills as possible signs of an invasion. Russia calls the drills, which will expand to the Atlantic and Pacific, as defensive in nature. Russia annexed the Crimea Peninsula from Ukraine in 2014. The U.S. has called for Americans to leave Ukraine while also evacuating the embassy in Kiev. And to that, a new report says they're working on those evacuations ahead of what may be that possible invasion. U.S. officials say the State Department will announce Saturday that virtually all American staff at the embassy in Kiev must leave. This video shows the Ukraine police tactical drill on Saturday, not an invasion, on defending infrastructure facilities in the event of an invasion. State Department has not yet commented. The U.S. advised all Americans to leave Ukraine in 48 hours, calling a Russian invasion imminent, with Russia continuing to deny those plans. And President Biden spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin by phone this morning, warning of, quote, swift and severe costs if Putin decides to invade Ukraine. With tensions high, the White House is urging Americans to leave immediately. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has the latest.
The president's call with his Russian counterpart began at 11:04 Eastern Time, ending an hour and 2 minutes later at 12:06. President Biden is at Camp David. We have a picture provided by the White House of the president during the call with President Putin. According to a senior administration official, the call was professional and substantive, but there were no serious breakthroughs to make Vladimir Putin pack up and leave the Ukrainian border. According to a readout from the White House, it reads in part, President Biden was clear that if Russia undertakes a further invasion of Ukraine, the United States, together with our allies and partners, will respond decisively and impose swift and severe costs on Russia. Overnight, State Department and other diplomatic staff were told to leave the U.S. Embassy in Kiev. This is a significant move as it shows that the United States is not only preparing for a conflict, but one that is expected to make its way to the Ukrainian capital. Presidents Biden and Putin met face-to-face in Geneva over the summer. Ukraine was not even the top topic of that meeting. This was in June. How things have changed. Russia wanted the call with President Biden to take place Monday. The White House wanted it on Saturday. to underscore the urgency. Here's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Friday.
If you stay, you are assuming risk with no guarantee that there will be any other opportunity to leave, and no prospect of a U.S. military evacuation in the event of a Russian invasion. If a Russian attack on Ukraine proceeds, it is likely to begin with aerial bombing and missile attacks that could obviously kill civilians without regard to their nationality.
Russia continues to insist right now there will not be an invasion, but listen to this. Russia is telling its embassy staff in Kyiv to leave the city immediately, if that tells you anything. At the White House, David Spunt, Fox News.
And we're wrapping up this half hour of News at 9 with some chocolate just in time for Valentine's Day. Well, there's nothing better on Valentine's Day than chocolate hearts. In Belgium, an award-winning chocolatier is hoping to bring lovers closer with his latest caramel, raspberry, and passion fruit flavored chocolate heart pralines. The bright-colored chocolate hearts are filled with various things that makes them delicious, but also beautiful for Valentine's Day lovers. Wait, we've got some other stuff coming your way. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports, as a matter of fact. Up first, 4 people were shot early Saturday morning in West Hollywood near a party for Justin Bieber. Plus, Walmart has announced it's updating its COVID-19 policies. Also, a fire broke out at an elementary school in Virginia, and
protests in Canada picking up speed as police in some areas move in to break up the crowds. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have the latest from Ottawa coming up next.
Welcome back to the News at 9. 4 people were shot early Saturday morning in West Hollywood near a party for Justin Bieber. The LAPD reports a fight took place just before 3 a.m. near the Nice Guy restaurant. The pop star was hosting an after party inside following a concert. Police said multiple rounds were fired, striking 4 people who are currently listed in stable condition. Bieber was inside the restaurant at the time of the shooting and decided to leave shortly after, ending the party. Investigators do not believe the gun violence was gang-related. Walmart has announced it's updating its COVID-19 policies. The country's largest retailer says it's dropping its mask mandate and sick leave policy for employees. Fully vaccinated Walmart workers will no longer be required to wear masks unless the masks are mandated by state or local governments. Unvaccinated employees and those who work in settings such as pharmacies will still be required to keep wearing them. Retail giant is also dropping a sick pay policy. It was put in place because of the pandemic. Policy gave employees extra paid time off beyond sick leave. The emergency leave policy will end next month unless it's required by the state or local government. The company is making the changes at a time when several states have announced they're bringing an end to indoor mask mandates as Omicron case numbers decline. A fire broke out at an elementary school in Virginia on Saturday. Richmond firefighters fought the blaze that overtook William Fox Elementary School. According to firefighters, the fire broke out Friday night, and it's still unknown what caused the blaze. No injuries were reported. Another multi-billion-dollar deal may be in the works in Silicon Valley. According to reports in the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, Cisco Systems is looking into the acquisition of Splunk. Splunk's data mining software has become more important during the pandemic with more people working from home. The purchase price is rumored to be more than $20 billion. Cisco has the reputation in the tech industry as a serial acquirer, selectively buying companies to boost its growth. Neither company has made any comment about a potential acquisition. Police in Canada trying to clear out a trucker protest blocking a key trade route to the U.S. They've been jamming traffic for weeks, and some are now defying a judge's order to go home. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has the latest.
This weekend, Canadian police moving in to break up a blockade of truckers, halting trade and transit between the United States and Canada. The Ambassador Bridge connects Detroit with Windsor, Ontario. It's North America's busiest land crossing. On Saturday, the 5th day traffic was at a standstill, the police moving into that key entry point to try and clear it out. An Ontario judge ordering protesters to leave by Friday. The demonstration, dubbed the Freedom Convoy, the group opposing vaccine mandates for truckers who cross the border. That caused morphing into a wider protest against Canada's COVID-19 restrictions.
When you give me the ultimatum
and call it a choice to either get vaccinated or lose your job, and with that, lose your home. You have definitely infringed and denied on somebody's constitutional rights and freedoms.
Ontario's premier calling it a siege, but truckers say they're just standing up for their rights.
Now the economy knows what happens when the government shuts you down. Like now that's how we felt. Now we're doing that to them. They don't like it.
They got like 400 cops over there, SWAT, like all this taxpayer cop car, like it's a waste of their time. Drop the Band-Aids, we go home. 15 minutes, we're gone. Simple.
The protests inspiring similar convoys across the world. French police firing tear gas at protesters during a demonstration on Saturday in Paris.
Protests are expected to continue, although officials say restrictions will soon be rolled back. Canadians tell us they've waited long enough. In Ottawa, Canada, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Later on the news at 9, an elementary school in Illinois is garnering serious attention. We'll tell you what brought it into the spotlight.
We have been staying pretty quiet throughout the course of the day, but definitely quite a bit colder. Let's just dive in and look at the numbers. We have seen temperatures go from the 50s yesterday to about the upper teens to about 20 degrees this morning. That is quite a drop after a quick cold front came on through the other day, and then a little rebound to 32 degrees. But we are going to start doing better with temperatures as we go into early next week before we see another storm system head our way. Right now, though, 7th the range line, we're at 23 with clear skies up top, south wind at 7, making it feel like 15 degrees outside. But that wind, it's going to help us out this time around as we go through the overnight. Right now, lower to middle 20s in our corner of Missouri, mid 20s elsewhere. And even if you factor in the breeze, it's a light breeze, but it still makes it feel like 17 in Carthage, Pittsburgh, 18 in Iowa, and about upper teens to about the mid 20s elsewhere. But that breeze, it was out of the northwest and west earlier today, and certainly to start the evening out. But now we got that breeze to come back out of the south. That is going to help us out, not only for the overnight, but even as we go into tomorrow. We've kept things pretty quiet all day long, but can't help but notice cloud cover building just to our north and west. That is because we've got another quick cold front coming our way. That is going to bring a north wind back into play late tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. But high pressure is going to do its part to make sure that we at least get the upward trend going as soon as we get past sunrise. And in terms of the upper levels, not much to show other than I want to point out this upper level low out in the Gulf of Alaska. That's where our next strong storm system will develop and come our way. But not in the short term. We keep things quiet as we go through the overnight, but can't rule out a little bit of cloud cover coming our way. But that will also help us out too. That'll keep lows mainly in the lower 20s to get the overnight and early morning hours going. Right around 23 is where most of us will start. Then, even with mostly sunny skies throughout the day and a southwest wind in the morning, that north breeze kicks into gear, but still will trend warmer. 39 in the morning, topping out around 41 for the afternoon. Looking at Monday, Valentine's Day, and Tuesday, we go back on the warmer side of the jet. This is what will send us back into the 50s on Monday and into the 60s for Tuesday and even Wednesday. But here comes that low. Remember that low on the Gulf of Alaska? This is where it's projected to be Wednesday afternoon, and out ahead of it, rain, thunderstorm chances, maybe some strong storms that we'll have to track. But once we get on the cold side of the system, this is going to end as a rain-snow mix. Certainly more apropos as temperatures drop into the 20s all day on Thursday. But 41, looking good for tomorrow. 56 and dry Valentine's Day, 64 Tuesday, 62 Wednesday. Then we just crater all day Thursday, Chris. But back into the 40s on Friday and 53 Saturday.
Not a bad forecast overall.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Nick, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern Baseball closes out a road trip down in Florida today. Plus, the Southern women aim for 11 straight wins. Danny Terzer's got that and more next.
The Southern women are now on a 10-game winning streak. They're fresh off a huge win over 21-ranked Missouri Western, and that's the third-ranked team they've beaten this year. Southern tied for first place in the MIAA, hosting Northwest. Mallory McConkey dominates in the first, bucket for 2. Lions down by 4 after 1. Then Lacey Stokes drives to the bucket, makes the tough shot, and a few plays later, Amaya Johns from the top for 3. Johns gets 14 today, 28-27 Southern at half. Maddie Stokes here turns puts it in for 2, 6 points, 10 rebounds. We've got a tight one headed into the fourth, 41-40. Lacey Stokes now from behind the arc, this time sinks it, 26 points, 6 rebounds, another great day for the freshman. And as the final minute plays out, Lions fans are on their feet, 11 straight wins for Southern, 56-49, the final.
It was good in the aspect that we came out and our defense was tremendous again against Missouri Western and Northwest. And that's kind of been carrying us over the last 10, 11 games. You know, offense, sometimes you're going to struggle. We struggled to make shots today, but our defense was there. And if we continue to guard like we have been, you know, we'll give ourselves a chance to win every ball game.
On the men's side, it's going to be a tough one for the Lions tonight. The Northwest men are ranked number 2 in the country. First half, Byron Alexander with the big two-handed jam. Then off the turnover, Winston Desiso behind the back pass. Avery Taggart finishes. RJ Smith now hits the bucket for 2, 16 points tonight. Lions down by 8. Lawson Jenkins in the corner, knocks down the 3. He's fired up, 4 for 5 from 3. He finishes with a team high 20. Southern within 6 at the break. The Lions play a tight second half, but fall 71-64. Over in Pittsburgh, the women playing Missouri Western, they fell to the Griffins earlier this year. Today they pick up a huge win, beating the 21-ranked Griffins by 26 points, 79-53 is the final. The Gorillas are led by Tristan Gegg with 24 points, and Erin Davis finishes with 12 points and 7 rebounds. The men record their second loss this week, falling 75-53 to Missouri Western. Magic Relaford scores 12, and Ryan Pippins adds 11. Pitt State baseball continues on at the Henderson State Invitational. The Gorillas lost to the host team in the opening game on Friday, now 2-2 to start the season. Action resumes this afternoon, 2 games for the Gorillas. In Game 1, Pitt State falls to Akita 10-9. Jordan Maxton, Aaron Gertis, and Mason Hartman each get 2 RBI. Game 2 is in the final inning right now. Gorillas trail 6-3. Missouri Southern baseball closes out their Florida road trip with a doubleheader against Nova Southeastern today. In Game 1, the Lions fall 17-10. Tyler Ferguson, though, hits a grand slam for the Lions. They drop the next one too, 7-3. We're back after this.
An elementary school in Illinois is garnering serious attention after a photo surfaced of a flyer on campus advertising an after-school Satan club. Fox's chief religion correspondent Lauren Green has the story.
We're not teaching children about Satanism. They're just going to know that this is taught by Satanists.
Some are calling it spiritual warfare. The Satanic Temple has opened another after-school club, this time in an Illinois elementary school as part of its nationwide campaign to push back against a Christian club. Parents protested outside Jane Addams Elementary School in Illinois as the after-school Satan Club met there for the first time last month. The Satanic Temple, which runs the program, says students learn benevolence and empathy, critical thinking, problem-solving, and creative expression.
I'm hoping that with our presence, people can see that good people can have different perspectives, sometimes on the same mythology, but not mean any harm.
In 2001, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled religious groups could operate after-class programs in public schools, which allowed for a proliferation of the Good News Christian clubs, now about 5,000 nationwide.
We're not trying to be against anyone. We're simply trying to take the biblical good news of the gospel to the children.
As a counterbalance, the Satanic Temple said it intends to open more clubs in schools where the Christian clubs are meeting.
What's your objection to the Good News clubs?
Well, the Good News clubs, we felt, were particularly troublesome in the way that they do explicitly try to indoctrinate children. They do try to prepare the children to proselytize to others.
The Satanic Temple says it is really an atheist organization. Despite this statue depicting its leader, followers don't believe in spiritual evil or the devil, who the Bible warns is a master of lies and deception.
They're doing the work of Satan, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, because this is what Satan would do. Satan, the term itself, means evil, and this is not the influence you want to bring upon your children.
So far, the Satan Club isn't that popular. The school said 2 students from the same family attended the first meeting last month, as well as the second meeting this week. In New York, Lauren Green, Fox News.
We're back with the car report right after this. Kia is sporting a new look with some new features. Fox's Gary Gastelou has more on the 2022 Stinger.
It's the Kia with the most kick, or perhaps that's the most sting. The 2022 Kia Stinger stands out in Kia's lineup of mainstream cars and SUVs because it's basically a luxury sports sedan. It's built on a rear-wheel drive platform just like a Mercedes or BMW. It's also available with all-wheel drive. At a starting price just over $37,000, it comes standard with a 300 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but for $45,000 you can get it with the 368 horsepower turbo V6 that's in this one. The Stinger first went on sale in 2018, has been refreshed this year with things like new lighting and an updated infotainment system, and also a new exhaust system that lets you turn up the volume. You're going to have to take my word that the Stinger is a smooth and comfortable highway cruiser because this is a lot more fun. Its computer-controlled suspension allows it to seamlessly transition from luxury to sport, and it handles like the proverbial dream. For less exciting outings, it also has adaptive cruise control, a very effective self-steering lane centering system that I definitely don't need right now, and a blind spot camera for when you're not snow-blinded by too much fun. The V6 Stinger's 20 miles per gallon combined fuel economy rating won't impress anyone, but its 4.5 second 0 to 60 time will. Do have to correct one thing I said earlier when I called this a sedan, because in fact it is a hatchback with a very large cargo area that makes it a family-friendly vehicle. I guess it does fit in with the rest of Kia's lineup. In the 2022 Kia Stinger, Gary Gastelou, Fox News.
I want to know how he didn't hit the camera in that opening shot. I mean, that's some skilled driving, and that's driving skills I don't have. But with our recent snow, you had plenty of opportunity if you wanted to, drive like that. It was a good time to do that. And Nick Kelly, of course, telling us that, well, hey, if you missed your chance, you may have another chance next week. That's exciting, right? Cameron, that's exciting, right? It is exciting. He thinks it's exciting. I don't. Whatever. That's our time for now. We're going to see you back here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thanks so much for making us part of your night.